All right, everybody, I get to talk to you about the most exciting thing of all, which is how we are spacing out students in a classroom to get ready for a hybrid model. So across the building, we've tried to create some template classrooms for how desks can be set up. We're gonna leverage our custodians to then go and set up all our classrooms in a similar fashion to make sure we're complying with all of the CSD, the Department of Health guidelines around how classrooms need to be set up. So I wanted to show you a little bit of what that looks like. I have my 6-foot tool. I've been taking this all around to try to measure and make sure that we are creating 6 feet of distance between any student in a classroom that's been set up. And so in a classroom like this, what you'll notice, I picked this one out specifically because there's furniture we cannot move and then furniture we can, which creates some different dynamics. And so on tables, we are a building with a lot of tables and not individual desks. We have to space out students to be 6 feet apart, and that's measuring from their mouth to the other student's mouth. And so when we look at a chair, we're measuring from the middle of one chair to the middle of another one. So if you look at these tables, one student's on the far side over here, one student's on the far side over here. We are thinking about ideas as far as putting tape to mark that off for students so they know their chair needs to be in that specific location since they can move it within a table. Then we go to our furniture that can't be moved, right? So some classrooms have furniture that can't be moved. In this case, we have a stool set up in the corner of each of these, so that way we are definitely 6 feet away from any other student. Unfortunately, with the size of these, we can only get one student at any of these science workstations. So it limits us a little bit and takes up a lot of square footage of this room, but we are still able to get 16 full students. If you notice up here, we haven't added any desks to the front of this room, but we could. And so for some of you in your classrooms, you might have furniture set up right now, and we may have to do some moving of that furniture in order to incorporate more students into your classroom. We could put a desk up here, right? It's not ideal, but it would get one more student in this classroom, right? We could move a teacher workstation in other classrooms and get another student in over there and move a teacher workstation somewhere else. These are not things we want to do, but they may be things we have to do in order to get the capacity we need based off of how our students are going to be split. And so as you review that spreadsheet that's getting sent out, you may notice some odd things on the surface of like, hey, my square footage is actually smaller than that person, but I have more capacity in my room. What that likely means is the person with the lower capacity has some furniture that we could move and we just haven't done that yet. And so there may be a desk or a bookshelf that can be moved to increase capacity and that hasn't been done yet. And so that number might change by 1 at most in classrooms. All right, please, here's the piece I want you guys to know is I want to virtually, if you want to meet and go through what your classroom setup would be, I would love to do that. Like, reach out to me, let's get on Zoom, or if you want to physically come in, we can do that too. And I can show you exactly what your room would be set up as, and I would actually prefer to do that with a lot of you who are like wondering about this, because to physically do it, I learned a lot, and I think it would be helpful to do that with you guys. So please reach out if you have questions about your specific room capacity. All right, so I want to show you a traditional classroom. This is Jim's room. This is more of the typical of what you're gonna see. Again, there's 6 feet of distance from chair to chair, and then from front to back, we've got 6 feet of distance as well. And when I talked about capacity and the potential to add more, like you look back in this corner, and there's a potential for us to get another table in back there and add another student desk, but we would have to move some furniture. And so that might be a case in a lot of classrooms where we've got some little changes we can make to add some desks. There's also a potential we could add one right up here up front if we kind of encroached on the teacher workstation and made that smaller. And so again, not something we want to do, that'll be last resort, but something back here, this is something we'll lean on more when it's not encroaching on the teacher's space.